Hi everybody, welcome to Ecodriver. My name is Helmut. Today we go out on one of our consumption tests on the Ecodriver loop, and this time with the Peugeot 3008 GT Blue HDI 130. The Peugeot connoisseur will know what this means. It's the 96 kilowatt diesel engine with 131 horsepower. It's a 1.5 liter engine coupled with an 8-speed automatic gearbox, and the unladen weight is 3,309 pounds or 1,504 kilograms. NEPD consumption is given with 3.9 liters per 100 kilometers, but I think that's not realistic. In the summary after the video, I will give a WLTP. I haven't found it in this short time. On spritmonitor.de, where real users of cars can enter their consumption details, and you find the real life consumption of every car in there. They have an average of 6.52 liters per 100 kilometers, which is about 43.5 mpg UK. And the 3.9 liters NEPD in miles per gallon UK is 72.4. But as I said, I'm not sure that this is realistic. Yeah, we do the Ecodriver loop, and if you're on this channel for the first time, I will show it to you. You see here, we start on the edge of town where the green arrow is, and we now go out of town for 1 kilometer, and then we hit the ascent. It brings us, or it elevates us up 360 meters or 1,100 feet. Then we have some rolling hills. Then there's a descent, which brings us back down to the altitude where we started. And this gives us already an indication of where we will be at the end. Then follows 19 kilometers of open road, 17 kilometers of motorway, and 17 kilometers of city traffic. At the end of every sector, we will look at the sectoral and overall consumption, and after the trip, we will analyze this. I will keep the cameras on all the time for you to see that how I am driving and how this result that we will get at the end is achieved, and also to show that there is no need to go ultra slow or extra slow in order to have a good consumption. So we will surely be no hindrance to other road users, on the contrary, I will assume, and we will still have a very low consumption. I'm pretty sure about that. So yeah, enjoy the trip. Maybe the weather gets better, and I'll talk to you later. So we're coming to the end of the hill climb now. You see that I haven't activated the consumption display permanently, as I have to choose either between the tachometer, the engine revs, or the fuel consumption gauge, and I prefer the RPMs just to show how I'm driving in order to keep the consumption low. So we're going around the corner here now, and we have 8.6 liters per 100 kilometers. We're now approaching the hilly section, and here I've said it in all my videos, imagine you're on a roller coaster, so on the way down, accelerate a little bit, gain some momentum, take this momentum into the next climb or the next flat section, and try to avoid accelerating harshly on the way up. Wait with the acceleration until you're on top or until it's going down again. Therefore, you save quite a lot of fuel. So you've seen I had to invest some energy to pass a very slow car, but as we are in a real life test, this is what happens. When we pass this limit sign here, we have 6.5 liters per 100 kilometers. We are now coming to the descent, and here I try to not use any energy, actively use any energy at all, as the car drives the engine. That means the injection is cut off and no fuel is injected while the engine is kind of like braking the car. We have two short flat sections. I try to pass them without using any fuel, but it always depends on the other traffic, and sometimes we have cars in front of us. They are going very slow and inefficient, and that's not very helpful. Or sometimes we have a bus or a lorry, and yeah, we'll see. Coming to the end of the descent now, and when we go around the corner we see 4.6 liters per 100 kilometers. As you've seen, the Volkswagen in front of us, he was going really slow, but also extremely inefficient, as he did not use the momentum from the descent to go into the flat sections, and so I decided to overtake him, as this is probably the better choice than to be stuck behind him, even at the next flatter section. We now come to the open road section, and this is a typical road for this part of the world. You have 50, 60, 70, some 100 kilometer restrictions with some villages and small towns. If you want to go faster at longer distances, you go on the motorway anyway, which we do on the way back. So we're coming to the end of the open road section now, and you see here 4.3 liters per 100 kilometers. For the next 17 kilometers to 11 miles on the motorway, we have a 100 kilometers per hour limit due to local environmental laws. Electric cars would be exempt from this, but as you see here, most of the time on this section traffic is very dense anyway, so it wouldn't make much sense to go faster. So at the end of the motorway we see here 4.2 liters per 100 kilometers. We are now coming to the city section, and the most important thing for keeping the consumption low is to keep the vehicle in motion. Try to avoid braking, and therefore always look ahead, read the road, see what's happening in front of you, try to anticipate what the other road users might do, and keep the car in motion. And if you have to accelerate, then always try to do this with low RPMs. You see here we have an automatic gearbox, and it allows me to go down to 1200 RPMs, and therefore it is safe to assume that this doesn't damage the engine, as this wouldn't be allowed if it does. We are coming to the end of our trip on the Ecodriver consumption loop with the Peugeot 3008. The god of traffic lights wasn't very nice to us today, but when we stop here we see 4.3 liters per 100 kilometers. Yeah, that's not too bad. And now let's analyze this. Well, that was our trip with the Peugeot 3008 HDI 130. And let's have a look at the detailed consumption here. You see the sectoral and overall consumption, 4.3 liters per 100 kilometers. I find a very competitive result, to say the least, and I was really impressed with the power this car has from very low revs, and you've seen I barely went above 1800, 2000 RPMs. We had one other diesel car so far, was the BMW 420d Grand Coupe, and you see the table here. I just put this in the same table because they are diesel cars, and it might be interesting to compare them, and over time then there will be more comparable cars, and then we have some more data which we can analyze. One thing I have to say regarding the consumption, unfortunately the start-stop automatic, so when you stop the car the engine goes off, didn't work for two reasons. Peugeot allows the car around, I think, 1,000 kilometers until the start-stop automatic starts working. This is to protect the engine. And secondly, the outside temperatures were around, you see it here, 2 degrees Celsius, around 35 degrees Fahrenheit. And even if we would have passed the 1,000 kilometers, probably the start-stop wouldn't have worked regularly. So this would have given us probably another 1/10 of a liter of consumption. And I hope you have seen in this video, and I've mentioned it, that you don't need to drive slowly to be efficient. I started this channel initially, or the German channel in the first place, to show that you can go at normal speed, just obey a couple of simple rules, and you can reduce the consumption by 10, 20, 30%. And you've seen today we had slower cars ahead of us, and I had to pass them because they were so slow that it was so inefficient that it was better to invest a little bit of energy and pass them. And I'm by no means a blockage to other road users because I'm driving slow. No, I don't. And if you watch the speed limits and the speed I'm going, then you probably notice that I barely go slower than allowed. Most of the time I'm even exceeding the speed limit. And this is to show that you don't need to drive slow to be efficient. That was it for the Peugeot 3008. If you generally like what I'm doing, feel free to subscribe to this channel. If you hit the notification bell, you won't miss any new video. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you next time.